Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. It's episode 2 and I'm surprised there is an episode 2 because initially I was not really expecting as much of a welcoming on the channel from you guys as I actually got. So this is most likely going to be turning into a series and we're going to try and connect as many of these islands together. Now, the St. Paul food line. This is a train line that I set up in the previous episode. It's really doing poorly. It's costing me 480,000 a year, and I don't have that much cash to begin with. So, I'm going to sell this line, and I'm going to start over with a couple of trucks. This netted me 11.8 million. To make sure that I don't have any maintenance costs for this particular train line, and that is a thing, you have maintenance infrastructure. And that's 77,000 a year. That's for just having your train stations, your depot, maybe your tracks. I don't know. I've only seen the cost bubbles pop up from the train depot and the stations. I'm going to delete the stations. That should save me about 75,000 a year. Depot 2. I might leave the tracks there for the moment because they're not really in anybody's way at the moment. So, there. Alright, now I still want to provide this time with food. This time around I'm going to do it with trucks though, to make sure I have a little bit more flexibility in how many buses / trucks I have going over here, and where exactly they are required. I can keep this line intact, the food truck line, but the train line has to go. That's the food supply line. And now I need to set up two separate lines, one starting over here from the farm and going to the food factory, and next from here to St. Paul, or rather to this truck stop. Unfortunately, most of the roads are already in place, so I can just keep this thing and link it here. Alright, so that's in setup. Now, a truck stop. It's going to be a truck station with two different sides. Platform 1 on left, platform 1 on right. And this should allow the trucks from over here, from the farm, to very easily maneuver towards the position where they're not obstructed by a truck from the other line. I'm actually quite surprised at how far you can put this depot away from the farm. I can still put it over here. You don't necessarily have to be right next to it. How far can I put this thing? Oh, okay, this is where it starts to lose connection. Alright, so here. It's a very, very short drive for the trucks, but that's alright. Okay, so this one is going to be the St. Paul grain line. And the benefit of using trucks is that I have this short distance and there are 2 grains required for every 1 piece of food. So this means that I can set more trucks on this line than I do on this line to there. And this should help quite a bit. And we're going to call this the St. Paul food supply line again, but this time a little different. Alright, I already have a road depot. So now we just need a couple of cars. Lots and lots of options. I need something that accepts either oral cargo or a particular, like this, a particular type of resource. So the Opel Blitz dump truck could do it, carries 14. Costs me 253. Alternatively, I would use the Studebaker US6, also 14, also 60 kph. And the price is exactly the same. Alright, I'm going to use a couple of these. Let's just say 5 trucks here. And all of you are going to be on the St. Paul grain line. And then a couple of the... hold on, maybe I just need to get rid of this line before I proceed. Because the food truck line itself is not really that useful. Yeah, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to set these vehicles up on the other line. So the food supply line is not going to go to St. Paul's Halt, but directly to where they need to be, in 6th Street. And the food truck then gets to disappear. And yes, it says, sorry, there are vehicles on this line. We cannot do this at the moment. So that's fine. I'll just have to make sure that the St. Paul food line, these vehicles are going to go over to the food supply line. And now I can delete the other line, the food truck. That makes this depot mostly redundant, but I might need to add another stop later on as the town grows. Because for the moment, yes, it does cover most of the area that needs the food, But if the town, for example, develops another commercial district over here, I will need to set up another truck stop. But for the moment, I think this works perfectly well. So we already have at least 2 food trucks going from here, from the food factory towards the town. And that's, for example, this one, the supply line. And over here at the grain stop, the farm stop, we already have a lot of grain being deposited. And these should be getting delivered very quickly to the food plant. The food plant's going to have a temporary shortage. But considering how many trucks are running back and forth, I think that should be resolved very, very quickly. This one's probably going to be running around half empty. Yeah, this one's still full. And then there's this one, who is only carrying around 6. Now keep in mind, it's a ratio of 2 to 1. So 2 grain, 1 food. I need to have about double the food trucks from there to the processing plant in order to keep the town supplied, more or less. It currently is at 85 out of 128, and it's really, really nice supply. The town is in fact growing to 428. Let's see if I can connect St. Paul to anything else. I think it's not going to be easy because it's such a wide map and such a large area between the two towns. I could go for a direct road connection, so taking St. Paul and going all the way to Thornton. Alternatively, I could build a dock over here and get a ship. Get a ship to go from St. Paul to Thornton. Similarly, I could have a ship go from Thornton to Stockton. And that is something I cannot do with a road connection. So let's invest in a shipyard, because the more lines that are used by a shipyard, the better. I'm going to have it set up with 2 terminals. And in a space where I can actually get to it. So let's say here. Then I'll take my standard setup of a bus and tram station. And put it like this. And yes, I want to have a tram. Now connect that to the rest of the town. Medium street is good enough. But I do want a track lane. Tram track. Upgrade the rest to have the tram. It's a pretty small town for the moment. Maybe that's still going to change. Hopefully. Alright. Oh, I forgot one part. Here. Trams can be a bit finicky. They really need all the parts to be electrified. Otherwise, the game just goes... No, sorry, can't do it. Doesn't work. Alright, we're starting here. Thornton. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the counterclockwise line. So Thornton counterclockwise. Similarly, one in reverse to make sure that people who are only going to have to go one stop don't have to ride the entire line. And that is going to be Thornton clockwise. Set up a tram depot. That is if there's room. I don't really want to bulldoze this residential building if I don't have to, because that does cost you quite a bit of cash. Let's upgrade this part. And you can actually see if the tram, if the oh shit, I put up truck stops. Yeah, that's not going to work. You cannot really offload people at truck stops. The game doesn't allow you. So I'm going to have to change that up. I'm actually quite surprised that the game allowed me to get these 2 different stops tied into the same route. These need to be bus and tram stops. Now if you replace a particular station or place it back, you get this temporary warning sign that says, hey, there was a station over here and I'm still looking for it. And if you then place it back, the game automatically slots in the new station on the line that you already had set up. Alright, one going one way, one going the other way. Can just be the cheapest one. Thornton counterclockwise, Thornton clockwise. Alright, so that's one. I'm going to keep the game paused because I still need to set up the other ones. Stockton as well. Stockton is going to get, I think, only one dock. Because right now I don't really see an opportunity for another one. What's this warning? Could not connect all the stations. Really? What's that about? So part of the line is not properly set up. What am I missing? I'm missing probably a bit of track. Yeah, here it is. No warnings. Good. So that was it. Anyway, back to Stockton. Stockton only is going to get one dock because I don't see any other line going into Stockton, at least for the foreseeable future. They do need goods and machines, which are both really hard to produce. Let's not do that. So a simple one dock passenger. There we go. Next, once again, with the buildings, but since this is such a small town, I might instead opt to go for buses instead of a tram. See, this is a town of 88, this is a town of 104, it doesn't matter too much. Let's see, how do I want to play this? It is quite nice and circular, so I could make use of that, but I think the expansion is going to go towards the north. In which case, setting up a tram would be more complex. Not impossible, just a little trickier. Alright, let's just invest in the future as is. And actually set up, if I can, a tram station. 2 buildings will be removed. I don't want that. Now it seems like we have some sort of small inland part of the beach here. So let's flatten that out. Hopefully not going to be too expensive. Brush size to bigger. And wipe that out. There you go. Now there should be enough room. Interestingly, by the way, these parts, these flattening areas, are counted as investments in infrastructure. I didn't actually spend 1.1 on flattening the terrain, but that is how the game adds it up. That's where you can find that cost. It's definitely not free. Alright, connecting the tram. Over here. Ah, really? Can it not fit between those two structures? What am I colliding with? There's nothing. Oh, there's water there. You have to be really zoomed in to find it. Whoops. So, does it work now? One building will be removed. Preferably not. There. Now I can tie this together perfectly. Okay. Moving on. Upgrading the existing road to carry a tram track. Throw on a couple of bus stops. This town really doesn't need a whole lot of them. Starting out here, connecting 1, 2, 3. That's an interesting way of doing it. After 2, we're going to add this stop as well. There. Although... there's one station missing here. See, that's what I wanted. A nice, smooth connection here. Again, this is going to be... What was this town? Was it Thornton? Stockton. Stockton. This would be counterclockwise. And another one. And for the moment, I might just run with one tram here, because I think 2 might be a little much, because it is such a small place. Now, there should also be a bit of room over here. Set up a tram. Let's just go for 1 for the moment, and see how much that gets used. That was Stockton. Stockton counterclockwise gets 1 tram. Okay then, St. Paul. Same setup, but I'm running into a bit of a height difference here. Maybe I can set up the dock here, whereas hopefully it's not going to be too expensive. Yeah, the more of an indentation you get in the terrain, the more expensive it's going to get. Bit of stuff. And then see if that's actually going to fit. Yeah, it's not too bad. Alright then. Pretty big place. 395. This is definitely going to get 2 trams. So a bus tram station. Oh, it doesn't quite fit. Alright, in that case I'll just have to fit it right next to the dock. So long as it is still connected to the dock, that is. Now if I press M or N, you can see that it's turning around, but it's turning around a little too much. If you hold shift and then press N or M, it's going to make the indentation smaller. And that actually fits a little better. Okay, upgrade this. Let's go around the outer edges. This town actually already has skyscrapers in 1950. That is very early. This town is probably going to need quite a few stops, because I imagine that people will also start making use of the tram just to get from one place of the town to the next. Apparently I forgot one bit here. Now if you ever at some point want to get rid of a tram track, you just click it again and the game removes the tram track. I don't really know why you would ever want to, but you can in this game. Yeah, I'll set up another one here, because these usually house a lot of people. And that might cause quite a bit of transport requirement. So we're going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's a truck stop. And I'll have another one here. And maybe I'm using too many of these things. We'll just figure out if the people want to use this tram line, yes or no. This was St. Paul counterclockwise. One the other way. Am I missing one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this one. After number 4. 5. Okay, St. Paul clockwise. There's a nice open area over here where I can put my tram depot. One would think. It's interacting with the bus stop that's over there. Okay, maybe there's not so much an open area where I can fit this. At the edge of town, right here, next to the dock. Alright, you're immediately going to start it with 2. 1 in St. Paul going counterclockwise, and then 1 going clockwise, or 2 going clockwise. Alright, so I'm still down to 9.4 million. That should be plenty to set up these lines. 1 is going to go from here to there. So this is the St. Paul to Thornton ship. And then we're going to have one from Thornton to Lower Stockton. Thornton, Stockton ship. And just make sure that these don't actually use the same terminal. See, the game has split them out between 2 terminals. There's one here and one there. And that's exactly what I want. Set up shipyard. I imagine there might be more demand for the line that's going from St. Paul to Thornton, because this is a much, much bigger place. And I don't really imagine people going all the way over to Stockton to either work or shop. But you never quite know with these people. Now, they need to be small ships. Fortunately, that's all that I have options for. The Klondike can carry 110. Schaffhausen can carry 130. This one 150. Let's just go with 1 for each line for the moment. And see how many people are actually going to be using the line. What? Oh, crap. I did buy a large ship. That's why I bought the Schaffhausen on the other line. 1 here, 1 there. And I think it's time to let the game run for a bit. Because now we've set up quite a few lines. And now I actually need to get some money. So let's see how well this is going to work. Over here we're now getting a decent portion of food. In fact, more so than the trucks can carry. And we got the Lockheed Super Constellations. Both the cargo and the standard variant. Let's get another cargo vessel, I was going to say. Another truck for the food supply line. Food supply is at 58. And there's a lot more food being produced here than I can currently transport. I might just need another one. Let's see how this grain line is currently progressing. Because I think that this one is making a decent portion of money. Not as much as it can do yet. But that's to do with St. Paul's current demand of 124. If this goes up, I wouldn't be surprised that we're going to see more and more food supply demand. Or food demand. And people are already using the line over here, counterclockwise. The other one, not so much yet. Here we have still kind of quite a few counterclockwise. And the fact that they're all using the counterclockwise line could indicate that they're all trying to get to the ship. And as such, towards Thornton. Let's see if that's actually correct. Yep. People are going from St. Paul to St. Paul, but that's only 9% line usage. 72% line usage. 49 want to shop, 49 want to go to work. So yes, there is going to be demand for the line towards Thornton. That's the ship. Speaking of, ships here. It's going to be a very, very quiet ride today. There's just 6 people on. But for the moment, that's fine. Also, quite a few people waiting here to go to, as expected, St. Paul. And what's the other ship currently doing? Running around empty. Did I, in fact, set up a tram here? Possibly not. Yes. I bought it, and then I decided to keep it inside the tram station. And I'm missing electric tracks somewhere. Let's see where that is. Here and there. That's why this vehicle cannot move out, and that's why there are no people waiting at the dock. Because if this thing moves, then I expect there to be more people at the dock. And, moreover, to be more people over here who are interested in going there, because they don't have to walk from the dock to wherever they can go. But they can actually take a tram. 42 people waiting here. That's working out nicely. How are the food lines? Line tracker. Harry Stamford's doing quite well. That's ships, but I'm more interested in what I can currently see. 185 for the food supply. So this is the actual supply of the food. And, oh, did I buy the wrong one? Well, it's a different vehicle. But I suppose it's well enough. And the other one is currently carrying 23, or so actually 18 out of 70. So a couple of the trucks are running around empty. That's always going to be the case, because they have to run back to the depot. And at the moment, I'm not seeing as much as I would like. I think I'm going to have to find another farm. Because this farm can only get to 200, and from what I can tell, cannot grow. It cannot expand because there's just not a whole lot of room. And over here you can still see that it has more levels. This thing, however, has no levels. The base production facilities don't seem to be possible to increase in production size. Fortunately, that can be resolved because there's a farm over here. This is also a 200-point farm. And I can set up, I think, the 200-point farm to supply it to here. Or I could take a ship and go from here directly to, for example, over here. Which, if I place down a truck stop, can be on the direct line back from the food truck to the food processing plant. So let's try that. So a standard dock. This time for, I'm actually going to let it run. For a cargo ship, I'm always going to try and build a road first to see if this actually ties in. Because you never quite know. Now a ship. Yep, it does connect. Okay. I can upgrade this dock, and this is where I'm really, really liking that ability to just throw on additional buildings as required. Because I'm going to need another small dock. And I'm going to need a small landing. And now I actually have a cargo dock as well. So next up is building a small cargo depot, a truck station over here. That ties into the rest, like that. Now I can set up the line that I had currently set up, the food supply line. And tell them to, once they're going back, to visit this truck station. So after hitting 6th Street over there, I want them to go here, pick up whatever grain they might find, and bring that back to the food processing plant. I will also need to set up a line coming from here to here. And this is going to be the St. Paul grain ship. And yeah, the shipyard over there is quite far away, so I'll just set up another one. Shipyards really are not that expensive. You're paying about 50,000 for them, give or take. Or even less, actually. 36 is what I can get away with. Alright, cargo ship. Needs to be a small one. This is a large ship. This is a small ship. Just a Schaffhausen, but this time for a food complement. So that should work. I also have this option. These are the Votran's towboats. They are really big. They are quite expensive, but relatively not that much more expensive than the Schaffhausen. And they can transport 175. I imagine this farm can put out that much, but I'm not sure. So let's go for the lowest risk first. And go for the 130 cargo Schaffhausen. Then upgrade it when I need to. Carry on. Alright, now I'm down to 2.7 million. So now I need to be a bit more confident or a bit more careful with my money. And especially let these lines get a little bit of time to work. Because for the moment it could be that I have, for example, too many vehicles over here. Yeah, this one's running around with 6. That's another 6. I'm going to sell this one. Just reduce the amount of vehicles by 1 and hopefully making it slightly more efficient. So that more vehicles are running around full instead of half empty. This one's now going to be running around with 12. Yeah, 12. That one's with 5. Might not be a whole lot. How much are you producing? Nah, he's shipping and producing as much as the farm possibly can. Here's the ship. Oh, look at that. The St. Paul ship is carrying 56 people already. And we got 32 waiting to go back to the other side. Nice. So this is spinning up. What's their wait time? Yeah, I don't know. Or I don't need to know what terminal you're at. 19 minutes is how long it's going to take. So that is quite the time that it takes to get from point A to point B. So be it. And why are there no passengers waiting to go to Stockton, I wonder? Like, there's absolutely nobody who has to go there. Are you carrying anybody? No, you're not even carrying anybody. Interesting. Normally every town has some sort of demand to go to another, well, sort of neighboring town. But maybe Stockton's too small. Yeah, they got nobody who's interested in going to Thornton. Not a single soul. So in that case, I can just dismantle this line. Because it's not going to get any demand anyway. And the same can be said for this tram. Because I imagine that this one's going to be running around empty for most of the time. And just transporting people inside one town is generally not worth it. So let's not. Let's see about this ship. That's the new grain ship. It has 89 waiting for it. And by the time that it docks, possibly north of 100. Let's see how we're doing. All the lines. Grain and food supply are actually making most money at the moment. Then we have Arie Stamford. These are going to be jumping up and down the balance rank quite a bit. Because sometimes they make money and sometimes they don't. Because they're going to be transiting for so long. So sometimes you're going to see them tick in with balance. As for the rest, the trams are doing quite well. The ones that are currently not making money are Thornton. Thornton counterclockwise. And the Thornton-Stockton ship. But this line I have already discontinued. Since there was a complete lack of demand. Now here's the grain ship. You can see that there's currently already some grain over here. So maybe the ship already completed one run. This ship, the food supply truck, should now head towards the dock here. Or towards the train, the truck stop. Carry some additional grain. And then we're going to feed all of that into the food factory. And make sure that this one keeps going no matter what. Now, even though I'm not actually sending this directly to a factory, this should be making money. There you go, 300,000 just from one run. And all of that gets deposited over here. So the food trucks should now have plenty of opportunity to pick up stuff over here and bring it back. Unfortunately, not particularly this truck, because I picked the wrong trucks. These two I need to replace with trucks that can carry anything. Because the ones that I had set up were not capable of doing that. So this should make the food supply line even more effective. And potentially produce so much food that I might be able to produce food for another town. Unfortunately, Stockton doesn't need food. Otherwise I could immediately ship it from the dock towards Stockton. Or Thornton. Any other towns? No, Carrollton is not going to be too easy either. Who needs food among these towns? Fargo does. Which happens to be on the other side of the map. Concord. That's a hell of a way away from St. Paul. That was Fargo. St. Paul's being supplied. Stamford. Yeah, well, that's, again, on the other side of the map. And finally, Tempe. Where the hell is that? Oh, that's actually not too bad. I could do that if I build another dock over here and ship it to Tempe, but Tempe is a very small place currently, only 88. So it's not really worth it. Okay, how are these food supply trucks doing now? Because now they're almost running with cargo the entire time. You can see that every year so far, every period, they're making money. And the food supply line as a whole is making me 350,000. Here comes another ship with 90 out of 130. This is why I'm happy I didn't pick the bigger ship. Because the bigger ship just would be overkill. Yeah, I'm transporting 54, 58, say around 60% of their possible production output. Thornton, no, sorry, St. Paul is now grown to 500. Food supply is at 70%, so I could go even higher. And there is more food being produced than I can currently pick up, by the looks of it. Yeah, I think I can add one more truck before this food starts to go bad. So let's add one of these. Alright, I'm probably not going to be making money this year, because I've been spending a hell of a lot of cash. Especially last year. But, for example, the road lines are actually making money. The ships are making some money. Let's see what happens if I just put it at 1 speed and see what 1954 is going to bring me. Only 38 people waiting to go to Thornton. It's a bit underwhelming. I was hoping that that ship line was going to be more effective. What are my ships doing? Well, they're making a profit. Not a whole lot, but it's a profit. And over here, the Stamford line, I may need to pay attention to that in the next episode. This episode I wanted to focus on the west part and St. Paul. Because this seems to be currently the most interesting opportunity to make a bit more money, aside from using that train in the previous episode that really didn't work out. But this actually could work out. Now we are starting 1954, but I think the game is a bit skewed at the moment. Yeah, we made 186,000 in the last period. That is from January 53 to June 53. And now you can see the game is really mucking up because I changed the time frame. From July 53 to March 54, I am making money. Not a whole lot yet, but every bit helps. And I still have a loan of 30 million that needs to be paid off. So that's something that I want to be doing eventually, but first I want to be making at least a couple million. Because I can make more with that 4 million than that I would be saving if I would start to repay the loan and reduce the interest. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Hope you're enjoying it so far. St. Paul's running a bit smoother than it was at the previous episode, so we've made some progress. Next time, I'm probably going to switch back over here, because this line These ships can be doing better. And at the moment, I don't think I'm using Airy to the max, the dock over here. Keep in mind, docks also cost money to run. So I might look into seeing if I can connect Airy to New York City over here. Or potentially connect Stamford to Escondido up in the north. Anyway, that's future stuff. For now, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you soon for the next episode.